Hi, and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther, and today I'm going to be taking you along with me on one of my big garden experiments, which is using my own self-harvested seeds from last year's garden to grow plants this year. You're going to hear me mention something called winter sowing, or using milk jugs, or planting seeds in jugs, and this has to do with a way of growing seedlings in the winter time, using milk jugs as mini greenhouses that you put outside. And it's sort of an alternative to growing seedlings indoors under grow lights. If you want to know more about that process, please check out my Winter Sowing 101 video. When I started gardening, when we bought our house about 2 years ago, I wanted to start gardening, but it wasn't a huge deal to me. But then I started learning more about what's happening with the environment and other things. And I've always been a sort of bit of a prepper at heart, although I've never carried it out like many people have. But I've always wanted to have a backup plan and supplies and things like that. And the more and more I learned about the food chain and the importance of sort of self-sufficiency, the more I wanted to not be dependent on others for my food. And that included, like, we try to buy most of our meat locally instead of at the grocery stores. Nothing against buying them at the grocery stores, but just a personal preference. And also, I really wanted to understand how plants and growing things in a garden worked, so that I could understand what plants handle what type of conditions. And, you know, if anything, last year during the COVID crisis proved the value and the importance of understanding how to harvest your own seeds, because I didn't have problems getting seeds because I tend to buy them well in advance, but many people struggled to find the seeds they needed for their garden. And if anybody had been able to harvest their own seeds and reuse them, then you wouldn't have had to struggle so bad. And so I think that knowing how to harvest your own seeds is a critical part, for me, of gardening. It's a critical part of being a self-sufficient person. All right. So let me go through a couple of things. And it just occurred to me that I should mention them. One is you cannot harvest all seeds to reuse. There's a thing called open pollinated or heirloom seeds, which generally means that if you reuse the seeds from the plant the next year, you will get the same plant, the same type of plant, generally. But there are things called hybrid seeds, which are basically a cross between a hybrid between two different or more types of plants, that seed will only produce that hybrid quality thing once. And if you harvest it and use it the next year, you might end up with something very different, something fun, but maybe something not so great. So if you look on a packet, if it says hybrid on it, generally don't reuse it. Another reason to harvest your own seeds from your plants every year and reuse them is that, in theory, and I think some people have proven it, when you get a seed, it is adapted. That seed is from a plant that grew in a place not in your neighborhood, right? They grew somewhere else, sometimes across the country. Like, a lot of my seeds come from Oregon and California. Some come from the Midwest, some come from the South. And so those plants, the seeds that drop from those plants are not acclimated to my area. And what I've heard, and what I'm hoping I'll find out is true, is that the more you can have a generation of seed growing in your yard and then harvest from that plant, and you harvest the best, you harvest the most choice fruits and seeds from the happiest, healthiest plants. And by having generation after generation of seeds in your garden, you will have plants, theoretically, that will perform better over time, that will produce more, that will be able to handle the conditions of your area. And so that's another reason. So I love that idea. And that's another reason I get into it. All right, so let me go through what I did collect. And I wanted to do a lot more than that this last year, but I'm still happy that I got anything going. So before I go too much farther, let me add that I'm sort of showing you the end of this process, which is using the seeds to grow plants to see whether I did it right. And the reason I'm not showing you the sort of beginning of this process is because I don't know if I did it right. And I don't want to lead anyone astray on harvesting their own seeds and not having something to grow in the next season. So if this If this process goes well, and if we get some great plants out of these seeds that I harvested, then I will happily share with you next year, this season, I'll happily share with you my process for harvesting the seeds that worked well. All right, so let me show you what I did get. So I have Mexican sunflowers. This will actually be a second generation in my yard, because these are seeds from flowers that self-seeded last year. I also, and my handwriting is not great, as I've talked about before, and the sun is coming and going, so the light's going to change a little here, but red coxcomb. These are sort of velvety brain looking flowers that just beautiful, beautiful flowers. And I wrote down that I harvested them in September of 2020. I also harvested seeds from LiQWYD, and I got the original seeds from a seed exchange and not from a vendor. And so these seeds are the ones I'm going to have for my LiQWYD plants, and we will see whether or not I get good I get good plants from them. I also have like 3 packets of zinnia seeds that are from vendors, right? From seed suppliers. But I did save seeds from zinnias, and I gave a lot of them away, but I have a few left. And I wrote on this, pink puffy head zinnias, harvested and dried heads September 2020. So I'll be curious to see if these produce only pink flowers or a variety of flowers. I have no idea how, I know you can self-select for certain colors and things like that, but I'll be curious to see how that goes. And then I also have 2 packs of marigolds that are from a seed seller, but I also saved seeds from my marigold plants. And I saved them, and I didn't split them out, from both the ones I got from the box store and the ones I had grown from seed. And so I'm going to plant these up, and we will see how they do. Now, I'm going to add, I'm not done yet. I've already planted these up, but I'll show you the jugs for them outside. I've already planted up. I harvested my own seeds for both the Jimmy Nardello sweet peppers and the fish peppers. And but I also planted up seeds from the packet, but I'll show you. I kept, in addition to the seeds in the original one, I also put packets in them so that I remembered that I had them. And I just kind of did it like that for both of them. Let's see. In here, I have my little packet of Jimmy Nardello peppers. And what I did was, for one of these peppers, I did 1 jug of my seeds and 1 jug of Baker Creek seeds. And for the other one, I thought, well, why don't I just split the jug? So I literally drew a line outside the jug, and then I had 2 labels in the jug where half is my seeds and half is the Baker Creek seeds, and we will see how they do side by side. Oh, I almost forgot one, which is my Christmas lima beans. Oh yeah, I harvested these last year from my plants, and they're just, I'll take the dehydrator packet out. You can see how beautiful they are. They're like a burgundy and white, like off-white cream colored seed. Let's see if I can pull one out here. These are dehydrated, definitely dehydrated. See that little seed? So pretty. All right, so now let's get into winter sowing those seeds. Just fill it up. Okay, that should be enough. And this soil will never go to waste, because even if these things don't sprout, I can reuse it if I realize they're not going to sprout late enough. I can also put it into any containers I'm planning on using for container gardens. And often I'll dump the extra soil into the beds, into beds after I'm done doing that. All right, so we've got this. Now, one thing I've said before, but if it's your first time watching my series, I'll repeat it. Make sure to put your tag in. We label both the inside and outside. So I'll put it here so you can see better. And then a lot of people like to sow seeds multiple per hole, but I have found that with winter sowing, it works so well that you end up having to transplant and separate out seedlings on top of each other. So I'm actually going to do one seed. I'm trying to do one seed per, yes, that's one per spot. And this is basically, this is 14 seeds, so basically technically I'm aiming for doing 7 plants in here. And I'm going to push these down so they're facing the right way. I believe the right way is to be into the soil like this, right? But I like to see where they're laying so that I don't duplicate them before I do that. I hope if somebody sees this and tells me I'm putting them in the wrong way, let me know, so at least I'll get the next jug right. All right, so we've got our 14. Now let's just poke them into the holes, their little flags up top. Come on. Be cooperative. Right. I'm still going to put another layer of soil here, so I'm not too worried about having them completely down. Okay. You can see the little tops hanging out. Cute little tops. And then we do a sprinkling of soil on top. And since my soil was already moistened, I don't really need to spray before I put this second layer on top. Plus, we've had a lot of rain and we have more coming, so I'm not too worried, but I'm definitely going to do the spray before you seal thing. This is just to ensure that the seeds have good contact with the soil, that the jug is plenty moist. If you've done it right, you should have a little bit of moisture coming out the bottom, if not a lot, and there is, so that's a good sign. All right, wiping off the edges so they're dry when I go to put the duct tape on. Sometimes when you're spraying with the little thing, it can go everywhere. And then I like to do small pieces of tape because I am not great with tape yet, and I find that doing smaller pieces makes it just easier overall. And it seems, I did that last time and it seemed to do just fine. Come on, get over there. See, even with a small piece, I'm mucking it up. You can't take things too seriously. You want to do things right, but don't cry over messed tape. One strip left. I think this will cover it. Let's see. Yes, good. Okay. Now let's label her. This is a paint pen. So these are marigolds. My seeds. And today is the 20th. I'm going to do it twice because my handwriting. There we go, 220. And this jug is ready to go outside immediately. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned as we watch whether these seeds actually grow and how they do, if they do sprout, how they do compared to the purchased seeds from seed vendors. I'm just very curious how it'll turn out. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you aren't already a subscriber, please consider doing so, as we'll be providing more of this kind of content. And either way, make sure to hit the bell button so you get alerts whenever I post new content. Otherwise, I will see you next time.